my yarny friends, I'm Sara Sach. Welcome back to my crochet channel. Now I know it is Friday Fun Day, so I have a really fun hat for us today. We call this the Plum Warm Beanie hat, and I'm calling it that because I remember as a kid my mom saying, "Sara, it's plum freezing out there, get your hat on." And since the colors were this beautiful plum, I thought the hat name was fitting. Now this hat will fit anywhere from a 22 to 24-inch head because it's nice and stretchy and warm. Now the yarn that I used is called Elle by me, and this is from Premier. We talked about this the other day on our live video, and we'll talk more about that in just a minute. But it's perfect for this. It is a bulky 5 and it makes up really fast. And the stitch, once you get going, you're just repeating for the length you need of your hat. So it's also not only super pretty, but super easy and quick. Now you can find the complete pattern with pictures on my blog. And as always, I'll put that blog link down in the notes underneath this video. All right, so let's talk about yarn. What I used for this hat is called Elle by me, not me personally. And it is the Charlotte. This one is called Plum, and this is called Plum Multi because it has those different colors of purple and plums, and even has a pop of this beautiful sage green in it, and it matches perfectly with the solid plum. They are bulky 5 yarns, and it also is 60% acrylic and 40% wool. So it's sturdy and warm. And the acrylic, the way that they've spun those together is very comfy, and it's one of those squishy yarns that makes a super comfy hat. I will tell you in the past that I have been sensitive to yarns that have wool in it. But this, the way that they spun it up or whatever they do with it, making it a little, maybe a little more softer or something, the wool has not affected me at all. I used to, when I would crochet with wool yarns, I would get a rash all over my hands and my arms. And that did not happen this time. And so I love this yarn. Okay? And I believe there are about 40 colors. Bunch of solids and some more of multis to mix and match together. Now you can find the link for my Premier link underneath this video if you want to go and check it out. It's well worth it. They're beautiful yarns. I mean, you can see how gorgeous these colors are and how it has a sheen. And I love that. And it just makes, even though this is a simple, quick hat, it makes it look pretty classy, doesn't it? Now we're going to stitch today with a K-hook. A K-hook is a 6.5 millimeter crochet hook. All right? And then you'll need a needle for weaving in your ends and a pair of scissors. Now you'll also notice that this wonderful hat has a faux fur pom-pom. And I think that that's the perfect thing to go with this beautiful hat. Now you can buy a pom-pom. You could make a yarn pom-pom. But if you want to know how to make a faux fur pom-pom, I do have a video on that, and I'll put that video link underneath this video as well. So if you want to learn how to make a faux fur pom-pom, you can make a bunch yourself. They're very inexpensive to make, too. To make our beanie, we're going to be starting up here at the crown of our hat and working our way down. So I've got my color 1, which is my plum, the solid. We're going to start with the slip knot. We're going to chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we're going to join this into a circle and make that stay knot. Now, if you prefer to use the magic circle or magic ring or another method of making your beginning ring, totally fine. I'm old school. I just like this method. All right, so we're going to go in, pull up a loop, and chain 3. This chain 3 counts as our first double crochet. And now what we're going to do is stitch 9 more double crochets in our ring. And that will give us a total of 10 double crochets. You'll also notice that I'm stitching over my tail of yarn. That way I can close up my ring when I'm done. So I've stitched my chain 3, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, whoops, there we go, 9, and 10. I'm going to recount just in case. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I have 10 double crochets. I'm going to join to that chain 3 with a slip stitch and chain 3. But before I go any farther, I'm going to close up this hole. All right, so I'm going to pull that string, grab my needle. Now you can wait till the end to do this if you want to. I just like to go ahead and get it over with. Then I don't have to worry about the top of my hat having a hole in it. Alrighty, so we're just going to go back and forth because we want this to be securely closed. And the best way to do that is to go through stitches and fibers and go back and forth 3 or 4 times. Alrighty, we'll go ahead and clip that. And we'll turn that over. So now, for row 1, I have 10 double crochets. Alright, let's do row 2. So our chain 3 counts as our first double crochet. So we're going to double crochet in that same stitch as our chain 3. And then we're going to stitch 2 double crochets in each of the double crochets around. Two double crochets in each of the double crochets around. And so since we had 10 for row 1, row 2 we're going to have 20. We stitched 1 double crochet in the same stitch as our chain 3 and then 2 in each of our double crochets, so we have 20 double crochets. We're going to join to our chain 3 with a slip stitch, and again chain 3. And now we're basically just going to repeat what we did on row 2. We'll double crochet in the same stitch as our chain 3 and then 2 double crochets in each of our double crochets around. And so once again, I'm stitching 2 double crochets in each of our double crochets around. And that's going to give us 40 double crochets for row 3. And so now we have again stitched 2 double crochets in each, so we have 40 double crochets. We're going to join to our chain 3 with a slip stitch. And yes, again, we're going to chain 3 and stitch 1 double crochet, this time in the next 2. So we're not stitching in the same stitch as our chain 3. All right, so we chained 3, then we double crocheted in the next 2, and then in the next one, we're going to stitch 2 double crochets, 1 and 2. All right, so now we're going to stitch 1 double crochet in the next 3, 1, whoops, there we go, 2 and 3, and then 2 in the next, 1 and 2. I call this doing 3 and 2. That way I don't forget what I'm supposed to do on this row. It's not a technical term. All right, so for row 4, we're stitching 1 double crochet in the next 3, 1, 2, oops, got a little splitty there. There we go. 3, and then 2 in the next. 1 and 2. And we'll repeat this, working all the way around this row. 1, 2, 3, and then 2 double crochets in the next double crochet. And we'll do this all the way around and again join back to our chain 3. So I repeated that, 1 in the next 3, 2 in the next, all the way around, and we have 50 double crochets. So we're going to join to that chain 3 and again chain 3. 1, 2, 3. All right, now we're going to increase one more time. So we're going to stitch 1 double crochet in the next 3. So 1, 2, 3. So we didn't double crochet in the same stitch as our chain 3. We double crocheted in the next 3, so that gave us 4 double crochets. And then we're going to stitch 2 double crochets in the next. 1 and 2. Alrighty, so we're going to stitch 1 double crochet in the next 4. One, two, three, 4, and 2 in the next, and that's our repeat for row 5. So we're doing 4 and 2. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 2 in the next. If your yarn is being a little bit splitty, then you need to hold your tension just a little bit more tight, and that will help keep it from splitting, because this is a loosely wound yarn, and that's one of the neat things about it that makes it so plush, so fluffy, and makes a nice hat. All right, okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4 double crochets, 1 in each of the next 4, and then 2 in the next. And you'll start to notice that your hat's curling a little bit, and that's what we want it to do. This is actually the outside, but we do want it to start to curl a little bit so it starts forming the shape of our hat. All right, so for row 5, we're stitching 1, 2, 3, and 4, 1 in each of the next 4, and then 2 in the next, 1 and 2 double crochets all the way around, and again join back to our chain 3. I have now completed row 5. We stitched 4 double crochets, 1 in each of the next 4 and 2 in the next, so we have 60 double crochets around. All right, I'm going to join to my chain 3 with a slip stitch, only this time I'm not going to chain 3. I am going to leave my yarn attached though. We're going to bring in our color 2. And this is our Plum Multi that I'm using for my color 2. All right, so we'll bring that in. We're going to leave chain or color 1 attached. And now we're going to chain 1. And what we're going to do is we're going to be stitching what are called 2 double crochet clusters. All right, so we're going to go right in this first stitch. We're going to go in, pull up a loop, yarn over, and only go through the first 2 loops. Then we'll yarn over, go in that same stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, and only go through the first 2 loops. So it'll look like you have 2 unfinished double crochets and then that 3rd loop that was already on your hook. Then you'll yarn over and go through all 3 of those loops and then chain 1. Now we're going to skip the next stitch and repeat this in the next. and chain 1. And this is what we're going to be doing all the way around the hat. The 2 double crochet cluster, chain 1, skip 1. 2 double crochet cluster, chain 1, skip the next double crochet. And we're going to do this working all the way around our hat for row 6. And once you've figured this part out, and it's really quite easy, this pattern will go really fast. Yes, Rosie is having a dream over there, my puppy. My little chihuahua is having a little dream over there while we're crocheting. All right, do you understand now how to do that double crochet cluster and see how pretty that is? We've done these in other patterns. If you've worked any of my other crochet patterns, I have done this particular stitch before. Okay, I'll do one more real slow just to make sure you understand what I'm doing. So we've chained 1, we're going to skip the next one, yarn over, go in, pull up a loop, yarn over and only go through the first 2, yarn over, go back in that same stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over and only go through the first 2. And see, it looks like you have 2 unworked or unfinished double crochets and then that loop that's already on your hook. So yarn over and go through all 3 of those loops and chain 1. That is the double crochet cluster that we're doing today, and we call it a 2 double crochet cluster because we're only doing 2 double crochets. Sometimes we'll do 3 or even 4 depending on what we're doing. All right, and so we're going to repeat this working all the way around our hat, and then we'll join back over here to where we started. So I have completed row 6, stitching my 2 double crochet cluster, chain 1, skip 1 all the way around. You're going to have 30 clusters and 30 chain 1 spaces, okay? So now what we're going to do is we're going to join to this first cluster. All right, and then I want you to slip stitch in that first chain 1 space. We're going to leave our color 2 attached, and we're going to bring back in our color 1. All right, so we'll just leave that there, and we're going to be carrying our yarn up on the inside of our hat. We're not going to cut it every time we change colors. If you prefer to do that, you can. It's just not necessary because it's going to be on the inside of the hat. All right, now what we're going to do for row 7 is we're going to single crochet in that chain 1 space between our 2 double crochet cluster and chain 1. Then we'll skip that cluster and single crochet in the chain 1 space and chain 1. And we'll do this all the way around our hat. And this is really going to make those clusters pop. All right, so single crochet in the chain 1 space in between the 2 clusters and chain 1. And we will do this all the way around our hat. Chain 1, single crochet in the next, chain 1, single crochet in the next, all the way around. I have completed row 7. We single crocheted in the chain 1 spaces, chain 1, single crochet, chain 1 all the way around. So we have 30 single crochets and 30 chain 1s. Here's my last single crochet, chain 1. I'm going to join to that first single crochet with a slip stitch and chain 1. And now what we're going to do for row 8 is we're just going to do a solid row of single crochets. So we'll single crochet in the single crochet and then single crochet in that chain one space. Single crochet in the single crochet in the chain one space. And we'll do this working all the way around this row. And this will give us a total of 60 single crochets, which is the base row for our next row of 2 double crochet clusters. And I think now you're beginning to see how the repeats are going to work. Now, just a little clue on this. When you're not sure where to place your stitch when you're doing a single crochet and then in the chain one space, if you look at your row up here where you have all your stitches, just make sure you put one in each of those sets of 2 loops. And that will keep you right on track for having 60 single crochets for this row. Because it's very important that you don't get off. We want to make sure we keep 60 single crochets every time we do our repeat rows. I have completed row 8, which is that solid row of single crochets, which again, we need to have 60 single crochets. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to join to our first single crochet, and then we'll bring our color 2 back in and chain 1. All right, and so now what you're going to do is you're going to continue to repeat row 6, 7, and 8, these 3 rows. You're going to repeat that 5 more times. You'll do the 2 double crochet cluster row, the single crochet chain 1 row, and then the solid row of single crochet, changing colors so that your 2 double crochet clusters are your color 2. If you want to, you don't have to, whatever you're doing with your hat. All right, because your color choices, of course, are up to you. But what you're going to do is continue to repeat row 6, row 7, and row 8 for 5 more times. So I have repeated that 5 more times, so I have 6 repeats, and we ended on that solid row of single crochet. I do want to show you the inside real quick just so that you can see how that yarn looks when I carried it up. It's not messy, it just goes right up along that line where I changed colors. If you take the time to cut that and weave all those in, you are going to have a little bit of a mess, I'm afraid. And I think carrying your yarn on the inside of your hat really is your best bet. Okay, now the last thing we want to do is we want to put on just 1 more row of single crochet around the band of our hat. I do already have my pom-pom on there just because I showed it to you at the beginning of the video. All right, now you don't have to add 1 more row if you don't want to, but I like doing it because I think it gives the hat just a little bit better and more stable band. And we're just going to stitch 1 more row of single crochet all the way around the bottom of our hat band. Now, we only repeated the repeat for 5 more times. If you want your hat to be a little bit more slouchy style, longer, so it slouches off the back of your head, you could always do another repeat or 2, and that would be great also because this style makes a nice slouchy hat. And it is already a little bit slouchy. That's the way I kind of like my hats. If you like your hat a little bit tighter, you could always go down a hook size and make it just a little bit snugger around your head. All right, and so I'm just going to stitch 1 more row of single crochet around my hat and then join it back to my first single crochet and tie that off, and my hat will be done. So I completed that row of single crochet around. I joined to my first single crochet, and I'm going to cut my yarn. And I want this to look nice and neat. So I'm going to go in that next stitch and pull that loop to the inside. That way we have a nice and tidy band on the front. And then I'll just take my needle and weave this in. I've already weaved in color 2. I just need to weave in this color 1. All right. And then I'll talk to you a little bit about the pom-pom. So my hat is all tidied up and is ready to be worn. And I have added my fuzzy pom-pom. Now, there are several different ways that you can do a fuzzy pom-pom. And like I said, I have a tutorial for it. And I'm going to put that tutorial link underneath this video for you so you can go there and learn how to make a fuzzy pom-pom. There are also fuzzy yarns that you can buy and make them out of fuzzy yarn by crocheting them as well. You can also buy them like off Amazon. There are some Etsy stores and different places. And of course, I've seen them at Michael's and Joann's and Hobby Lobby. One thing to consider, though, is that they're very expensive if you buy them individually. So it's kind of up to you what you want to do. You can always make a pom-pom out of the yarn itself, or not make a pom-pom at all. The hat is beautiful. It doesn't need a pom-pom if you don't want to put one on there. All right? That is just an option. And I remembered that I had this color, and I thought it looked great with my color too. And this yarn is absolutely beautiful. I love the shine of it, and I love the stretch of it, and the fit of it, and it's just gorgeous, and it makes a fun hat. Now, I do have enough yarn left over that I can make a matching collar scarf. So be looking for that in the near future.